Haney Biz presents Entrepreneurs Unlimited. Here's your host, Mark Haney.
All right, and welcome back. We are here with Darren McAdams, founder and CEO of Food Jets. How you doing this morning, Darren?
Good, Mark. How are you?
Good. Thanks for coming down here on a Saturday. And we want to share your entrepreneurial story, but let's start with talking about the company. What is Food Jets?
So Food Jets is an on-demand app-based ordering system. It is basically restaurant meals delivered to your curb in 10 minutes or less.
Okay, so if I want to order Chili's or something like that, and I want it at my house, I can have it in 10 minutes?
Not corporate restaurants and not real restaurants. It's basically, that's another company we have.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know you guys have a few companies. I'm sorry.
So, no, not Chili's or Applebee's or anything like that. It's local mom and pop restaurants where we have them prepackaged meals, bring them to a big facility, like we call it the hangar. We've modified our vehicles, we call jets. We've taken out the seats, added electrical. The restaurants make the food at the restaurant in our containers. Then they bring them to our warehouse, drop them off. We stage them into the cars. And then from that point, the drivers come in, grab a car, and go to a designated zone within the city. And then they drive around. Customers download our app, push a button, and our food shows up. And our average time is about 7.5 minutes right now.
So I do this out of an app on my phone, or I do it on the website?
So right now it's app-based only, iOS and Android.
Okay.
But in 2 weeks, we add online ordering. Our customers were screaming for online ordering.
Yeah, okay,
But
so
right
this
now
is
it
actually a
app-only.
new launch of a business that's been around for quite some time.
So Food to You is my main business. I dropped out of college, started in a garage in Citrus Heights in 93, 94. And so we've been going for 20 plus years. Food Jets we launched in November. It was a 2-year project building up to it. We launched it. So right now we do have 2 companies. We have the Food to You side of things where we do deliver from Chili's, BJ's Brewhouse, Chevy's, Rubio's, and a lot of mom and pop. So Food to You starting, like I said, 93, 94. Fast forward 22 years, we're in 13 markets, 6 states, and we have 1,500 restaurants.
At Food to You.
At Food to You. So
Yes.
we started with 10 in a garage, and now we're at 1,500, like I said, 6 states, 13 markets, and we're headquartered here in Sacramento. So we're one of the larger restaurant delivery services. But looking at Food to You and how I'm kind of bashing it, I don't mean to, but it's basically a slower, more expensive delivery service of different restaurants. So you have a full menu, like at Chili's,
Right.
where Food Jets, you only have 5 or 6 items. But it's delivered in such quick speed, and there's no minimum order, there's no delivery fee, no tipping, anything like that. It's just, and all our meals are under $10 with Food Jets. So again, you open the app with Food Jets, you push a button, and a car pulls up.
What geographic area are you covering with Food Jets?
So Food Jets, we started in the downtown Midtown, and then we've expanded to East Sac, Arden, and Natomas now. And and then soon we want to get up to Citrus Heights, Roseville, all the suburbs around Sacramento, including Folsom, Elk Grove, Davis, Rancho, Citrus Heights.
Is it fair to say that on Food Jets, you're at that stage in business where you're trying to develop a proof of concept, trying to get the bugs worked out of the system a little bit?
Absolutely. So it's our test market, right? We launched it. Our goal is to scale it into all our other cities and then beyond. But in the beginning, as you know, we have bugs and we want to work out in the process and everything. It's absolutely exploded though. So we've been going just a little under 4 months. Mind you, we launched during the holiday season, right? Which is not the best time to launch a business. So we launched in November. Right now we had, total downloads are 8,000 downloads. We have 3,000 customers. We've had 1,000 orders that we've delivered in under 5 minutes. And total meals delivered is almost 12,000 meals so far. So we have an unbelievable amount of repeat customers and customers that we add every day to the system.
Okay, so you have Food Jets, you have Food to You. Let's talk about Food to You and getting started, because really Food Jets would not exist if you hadn't gone through the Food to You experience, which is really taken off as well.
Correct. Yeah, no, Food to You, absolutely. That'd be into Food Jets. With all the frustrating aspects of operationally what we face, and on the customer side of things, the expense and the slowness of Food to You. I mean, don't get me wrong, Food to You is a great business.
Yeah.
But it is slower. People these days, they don't want to talk to anybody. They want to open their app, push a button, and they want their food now.
So Food to You does not have an app?
It does not.
How do you order on Food to You?
Web-based or call-in. So we actually have people faxing us orders still, believe it or not, because we're so old school. People fax us, people email us, people call in, we take it over the phone, and then website. Website is probably 60% of our orders at Food to You. The rest is people just call in, talk to an operator, which, as you know, is for Food Jets, it's all automated. we can't have, in California, everything's so expensive, we can't have any more people taking phone calls for a $20 order. It doesn't make sense financially. We still do it because a lot of our customers are older with Food to You. They've been with us for a long time, and they just call in and say, hey, I need a burger from Chili's. Great, we'll do it. Eventually, I'm not sure how that's going to play out.
Okay, so Food to You is a delivery service for restaurants. You go to the restaurant, pick up the Chili's burger, and then deliver it to somebody. You're doing that in 6 states, and you've been doing that for 20-something years.
Correct, absolutely.
Okay, learned a lot. Now you've decided to use technology to help things be a little bit more efficient, but you're not teaming up with the major restaurant chains. You're teaming up with mom and pop restaurants to create your own menu item.
Correct. So we team up. We have 15 restaurants exclusively for their category of cuisine. So we have one Italian restaurant, one Chinese, one Thai, one Mexican, so on and so forth. And that really brings a lot of the revenue right to that restaurant. Plus, we don't ask them to deliver 15 different meals each time. If you had a restaurant, we'd ask you, hey, bring us the one burrito dinner with rice and beans tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Give us 50 of them. And you drop it off, and we put it in the cars and go. Next, you may have a lunch order the next day with whatever, a turkey sandwich with potato salad or whatever it is the next day. So it's only one item from that restaurant, but we have a group of restaurants that bring it in.
Okay, so the
really
restaurants bring the food to you, and then you redistribute it. So
Correct.
that saves you from having to drive over to the restaurant and pick up the food.
Correct. Where Food to You, you're right. The drivers have to go to the customer orders, put in the order at the restaurant. Driver goes to the restaurant and then delivers to the customer. So it's slower. We have that added stop. And then, especially with the corporate restaurants, they take so long to prepare meals. Our drivers end up sitting at the restaurant. So that's where, like I was saying, operationally, it's frustrating for us having drivers sitting in all these corporate restaurants, and our customers get mad, right? Because they're sitting in all these corporate restaurants, and it delays their order because our average delivery time is 45, 75. Where Food to You, it's Food Jets, it's 7.5 minutes.
I'm Mark Haney. We are talking to Darren McAdams, founder and CEO of Food Jets and Food to You, and he's sharing the story about how to create a proof of concept and how to actually systematize a business so that it can be scaled. This is Entrepreneurs Unlimited on Sports 1140 KHTK, streaming live, podcast, and YouTube at haneybiz.com. And welcome back. We are here with Darren McAdams, founder and CEO of Food Jets and Food to You. And I want to get back into your story a little bit about how you made the pivot from, or you're making the pivot from Food to You to the new technology and Food Jets. But as I look, I could look into through the glass and I see our good buddy, Doug Esposito of Owen Dunn Insurance. And I have to think that risk with all these cars on the road and the delivery system itself has got a lot of risk built into it. How do you guys view risk in your company?
It is at Food Jets versus Food to You. Food to You, drivers use their own vehicles, their own insurance, stuff like that. I mean, we have umbrella stuff, but Food Jets, absolutely, there's a lot of risk. We have our own fleet now, right? We've never had that before. We have employees, which we've never had before on the driver side of things. We usually use self-employed people on the Food to You side. So absolutely on the Food Jet side, we have a warehouse, we have cars. Drivers are losing hubcaps, backing into each other. Hopefully Doug didn't hear that. Anyway, there is a lot more risk, obviously, and a lot more cost is involved with insuring your own fleet versus not having a fleet. And so, again, it's all new territory to us. We've only been doing it 4 months. And anyways.
Yeah, so as you develop this new game plan for your pivot, right, pivoting from Food to You to Food Jets, which is getting the food to the curbside in less than 10 minutes, I talked about at the beginning of the show, when I think about scaling a business, there's really 4 decisions that I've got to get right. And they're not easy to get right. They're difficult. And I know you've got to be going through, a lot of decisions right now on the people, right? You got to get the people right. The strategy, you have to get the strategy right. And then you got to figure out a way to execute. And then the cash, right? You got to get those 4 decisions right. Right now, which one is most difficult in terms of getting those decisions made?
So the people I have with me since Food to You started in 93, 94, I still have people with me, probably 12 people that have been with me 10 plus years. So my team of executives, managers are solid. I don't think there's a better team out there. Loyal as well. So that's easy. The strategy and model for Food Jets is there. It's with any startup, I think. It's cash. I mean, Food to You is basically, we're primarily self-funded. We do have 3 angel investors. But really, we're self-funded from Food to You. Without Food to You, I'm not sure we could pull this off.
Yeah, luckily, I won't say luckily, that's not the right term, because of the hard work and the loyalty of that team. You guys have built a business that, is thriving in Food to You, but you decided to make that pivot. But yeah, it takes cash.
Lots of cash. I mean, that is the number one thing, with all startups. It's how much cash are you burning through? And we're burning through a lot right now. Yeah. And then can you withstand that time frame before you're profitable, right? I mean, you draw your line and you dip, and then when do you exceed that dip? And, time will tell. I think we're going to exceed it faster than anticipated. But yeah, it's cash.
How soon do you expect to be profitable on Food Jets?
We project 9 months.
Okay.
I think we're a little behind that.
Okay. So it's going to take a bit to get there.
Absolutely. And, when you launch, things are changing. A year ago, Food Jets was not in business, and our outlook was completely different than it is now that we've been open 4 months. And you look at what it is now versus what it was or what we thought it was going to be, and it's completely different. So now fast forward from here a year, and it's probably going to be, again, a lot different model because you tweak, and I'm famous. My team's always like, oh, my God, are you changing things again? And yes, we are, because hopefully I'm right most of the time. Well, they don't. I say that. They don't. But I do change things, and it is because you look down the road a little bit and goes, okay, this is not working. This is not going to work, or it's inefficient, or it's too expensive. And so before you run out of cash, you want to make those decisions that'll better your company to save the cash so you can be in it for the long haul.
I think this is kind of one of the age-old problems of business is you launch a business, it's not instantaneously profitable, and you've got to get to profit before you run out of cash. I talked to several entrepreneurs that face that situation. Now, you're going to be pitching to a group of venture capitalists here this Tuesday. I'll be there as well. I know there's something going on. Velocity Venture Capitals is having, I think it's called Capitalize. It's our good buddy Jack Crawford running that, and Monique Brown.
With the
Kings. Yeah. So tell us what's going on there.
So there was about 100 companies that submitted, I guess, or that they chose, and then they came up with the semifinals of the top 32 startups. We made it, and so they gave us on Monday. Last week they gave us, hey, in the next Tuesday we're going to have an event down in downtown, and you guys are going to have a 3-minute pitch. They did it like the college basketball brackets. There's 4 groups of 8 teams of 18 businesses.
Right.
You get 3 minutes. They judge you, and then you move to the next floor. It starts on the ground floor, and then you just move up your bracket. So you go from 32 to 16 to 8 to 4. And then hopefully we're in the Final Four. It'd be nice because then you pitch it at a real Kings game with 17,000 fans, and you have a 30-second video they play, and then the fans vote for the best startup.
Oh, wow. And that's great advertising. If you can get in front of the entire arena. All right, you better get this, Darren. Now, I have some other friends that are pitching that day and maybe a couple other that have been guests on the show. So I will be out there with Jack Crawford and Monique Brown and you, Darren, and wishing you the best of luck. You're a great speaker. You've got a great scalable opportunity. But just like any other business, liquidity, it's like oxygen. You never really think about it until you run out. Coming up after the break, you are going to meet Steve Stossen, founder and CEO of Notary Express. This is Entrepreneurs Unlimited on Sports 1140, KHTK, streaming live, podcast, and YouTube at HaneyBiz.com. We talked today about the pain of standing still versus the pain of actually getting in the game and going for it. Either one has a certain amount of pain. And so, I mean, today's show I thought was really interesting because we're talking about guys that have built something. They've gone through some struggles, but they're building something and they're systematizing and they're working on scaling their business, which is not the easiest thing in the way to do. One has, cash on the front of the brain, and the other has had to find a way to get the right people around him. And it's interesting to know that. And I've, at 52, you pick up things, and sometimes you pick up things in the strangest ways. I had a player that I coached baseball, and I had a player. His name was Eric DeMello, and he was one of those guys that the pain didn't bother him, right? The pain did not bother this guy. He would dive for the ball. He would do anything to catch the ball, regardless of the pain it put on his body, right? He's just one of those guys. And I remember going to him one day, and I said, Eric, you seem to get to every fly ball that comes out in the outfield. You get to everything. And then when you get there, you sacrifice your body. You don't care about the pain. I'm like, what? Eric, what goes into, how do you do that? And he says, you know what? It starts with a decision. It starts with the decision before the pitcher even throws the ball. I've decided I am going to catch that thing. I'm going to get there. And that's always stuck with me. It's like, man, sometimes it's so simple. You just have to decide. You just have to decide to get off the couch. You just have to decide to show up. You just have to decide to shock them, create a differentiation. You just have to decide to systematize so you can scale your company, so that you can build your dream, so you can be what you want to be. And I think it's those decisions that separate us. If you decide to do nothing and go for that kind of pain, okay, that's fine. You could have that coulda, woulda, shoulda pain. Maybe I could have done it if I would have only tried. No one gave me the opportunity. You can have that, and that's painful. I, like Eric DeMello and our guest today, and Marcus, I mean, we kind of like the pain of getting in the game and getting scuffed up a little bit, just a little bit better. It doesn't feel that great at times, but at the end of the day, it stays with you. And it reminds me of a story. I'm going to tell this. I'll try to sort of zip through this story. It was when I was getting ready to scale my business, and it was about systematizing. We had got to about 100 million. Okay, and we had a centralized distribution facility, and we were competing against branches all over the country. And we didn't have branches all over the country. We had desks all over an office. So when we wanted to create a store, we put a desk out in the middle of the floor and said, okay, you're this desk, this telephone, this human being, this sales rep, you're the manager of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Okay, so that was our branch, a virtual branch concept. And we worked on that, and we worked on that, and worked on it, and we tried to systematize it and perfect it and get it right. And I remember we had started to get it right. We had got a little bit of scale. We were about 100 million, and Panasonic president calls up. Now, he had never really noticed us before, but his name was Frank DeFina. Frank was a great guy. Didn't know him very well. One day he called up my right-hand man, Brian. He said, hey, Brian, I need a big order. And Brian said, Mark, what do you want to do? How big is an order? How big of an order? A couple $1 million. And he had never called before. It was odd. So Brian and I agreed. Tell him we'll give him a $2 million order, but he's got to come out and visit us. I want to talk to him. And Frank's like, oh. So we place the order. Frank comes out, and he's sitting in my office, and I'm sharing the story. I had walked him around, pointing out all our different branches around the office. We had a 70,000 square foot building with offices, or with desks all over the place, and he noticed this picture on my wall, and it was a picture of Barry Bonds, and as he was listening to my story of how we were trying to systematize and scale, he saw the picture of Barry, and he goes, hey, you know what? I used to live next door to Barry Bonds. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I used to live next door to Barry Bonds. And I thought that was interesting. And he lived in Pittsburgh. It was back when he was in Pittsburgh. And so in the olden days, he told me the story about how Barry, the ball had gone over to the next door neighbor's house, and his next door, and the guy that comes back with the ball is this guy, pro baseball player named Willie Mays. And Willie Mays is Barry Bonds' godfather, right? I think some of you guys know that. Right. Yeah. And it was just kind of an interesting story. And so he takes in the story that I had about building our different businesses and all the branches around the country. And he said, and I think he kind of fell in love with that story. And he calls me up about a few months later, and we had talked about things like exclusivity and some ways that we could partner more strongly with Panasonic. And he and I just kind of hit it off in a cool way. And he comes back and he says, Mark, I want to partner with you. And I said, what are you talking about? He says, I want you to be the exclusive distributor for Panasonic in the U.S. And that was a game changer for us. I said, what are you talking about, Frank? And he said, yeah, I want you to be the exclusive distributor. And I said, Frank, I really appreciate that. And he said, you know what? I want to give you a gift to solidify our partnership as we became the exclusive. There's actually ended up setting up a second one, but as we ended up being the exclusive distributor, he handed me the baseball that had gone over into Barry Bonds' yard.
And that's the one you're holding right now.
This is it right there. And that's
Signed by Willie Mays?
Signed by Willie Mays. And I've got this as a memory of that game-changing event. We were able to double in size from there and create all kinds of great things. But you know what? Guys help you on the way up, right? Guys step there. I want to be there for you. God bless all of you guys that are taking a shot right now at your dream. All you guys out there that are attempting to do something that's never been done before. You know what? I am here for you. I will help you to reach your dreams. You call me, you find me. And you know what? They will help this great country we live in along the way. God bless you. God bless America. Never above you. Never below you. Always by your side.